Hi. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Minding My Own Purpose podcast with me, Cherie Patrice. Listen, I know there's a lot going on, but I'm inviting you to take a break with me. Come on in the creative room and have a woosah.
Yeah.
This is a safe place where you come on in and relax. And we're going to talk to a couple of artists today about their passions, and they're going to share some wisdom with you and impart some things into your life. If you are a background singer or an independent artist that have formerly for a major artist as a background singer, or now, presently, I have a great person for you today. We're on episode 3 of The Voice Behind the Voice. Would you all welcome Dee Wilson?
Hey,
Hey, hey, hey,
what's going on,
in
TT?
the creative room.
Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Glad to have you. Dee is one of, I would say, not underground, but somebody y'all need to know on the worship scene, gospel scene, music scene. I've known Dee for a while. He calls me TT Ree. But Dee, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dee Wilson. I am a husband to Jennifer, a father to Adele Rose, a songwriter, a songwriter, a singer, a worship leader. I try to be a good son, husband, father, and all that stuff. And I just really enjoy creating experiences for people, the best experience for people, to have something transformative, to experience something transformative, and music is one of the best ways to do that.
All right, all right, all right. Well, I wanted to play something really quick.
Okay.
Just give people a little taste of who you are. We're gonna roll a little video footage. He whispers in my ear, tells me that I'm feeling. He shares a melody, tells me to repeat it, and it makes me whole. It reminds my soul I am all he says I am. I am all he says I am. I am all. I'm all he says I am. And he says I am his own.
That's awesome.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Deborah Anthony, very good. Of course, that's your TT too.
Yeah.
We met at a Chosen Daughters of Destiny conference.
Yeah. I
And
think it was one of those scenarios where Deborah was just like, my friend's gonna come on stage, play behind her, and I'm like, okay, fine.
yep, yep. But she was also telling me, I got this kid. You have got to work with him. You're supposed to work with him. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. Can't wait. That was like one of the first things we did,
Yeah,
which was like really cool.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So you have been leading worship for about what, 8 to 10 years now?
Yeah, maybe a little more because yeah, something like 13 or so because the first time I was like on like a like on like a real schedule of frequently leading worship with any level of consistency, I was around 18. So about, and I'm 30, I'll be 32. So almost 14 years.
Uh,
Um
Same. How
huh?
many, how many years? But then how old were you when I met you?
Oh,
10?
20, something like that. I had to have only been 20 because we still had our band. Um Yeah, so I had to have been like 20 or like maybe 22 when I met you.
Well, she's 50 now. Praise him,
Come
baby.
on.
Oh, yes, sir. And loving it. So,
Loving it and shop. Come on here.
won't he do it? Uh, so, you have led worship at CLC, Christian
Yep.
Life Center,
Yep.
where we actually did a little bit. I worked a little bit with y'all.
Yep.
AOH, I know you were with AOH.
Yep.
Atmosphere of Heaven for a while.
Years. Yep.
And let's see, you did Christian Life Center. That's Pastor Jerry. There he is there. Hey, Pastor Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
You are currently at Faith Church in Dyer, Indiana. Yes.
That's my homie up there.
Yes, sir. And John Hanna, you did on that's what is that? New Life Covenant, the Southeast.
Southeast. Yep.
Did the Bible study like the discipleship groups. Yeah, I heard about
those. Yep.
But by the time you got rolling with that, then back to Cali.
Say it again.
We had moved back to Cali about time you got rolling with that.
Yeah, when I started doing those really consistency, you guys have moved back to California, and I still do those with a fair level of consistency now.
Man, Hannah's fire.
Woo!
Fire. I met him at I got a funny story about that. We were at we live by Starbucks in Hyde Park,
Mm-hmm.
and I could just feel the Holy Spirit on this guy, and I felt like I know it was kind of weird, but I gave him a CD.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of looking at me like, okay, like, you have to know who I am. But I didn't know. I heard of John Hanna, but because I worked at a church in Indiana, I wasn't familiar with his ministry. I mean, his face. I never saw his face.
Yeah.
So here he is. I'm like, I just got to give him this CD. So I know that he thought I was probably playing with him and having a moment, like,
yeah,
in Hollywood or something, but I really wasn't. I was just like, this guy is, you could just feel it. You could just feel the anointing on him. Like,
authenticity.
And
him. When I met him, I had never met him or seen him before. Again, I had heard of him, but I'd never met him or seen his face or anything. Because I was a young kid, and so same thing. We did an event at his church. He walked up to me, like, just like grabbed my hand, shook it, hugged me, and yet just like I just look for authenticity in people. He's one of the most authentic ever.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you say so? You look for authenticity. Yeah. He definitely has a good heart. My family attends the church over there, and they've been there for a while. Hey, Uncle Mick and Auntie Rudy. Yeah, he's still going. And I got friends over there, but when I go back to visit, that's one of the places I'm definitely going to visit.
For sure. And when
all the way up over there. Hello. So what was your experience like over there?
Honestly, it was so unique because, my perspective of New Life. Everybody has the perspective of New Life of like the big, to do, like in the big Sunday sort of deal that they do over there. Mm-hmm. And mine was so unique because it was so intentionally small. It wasn't, he came to me right after we did the event in his church, and he said, I have to shake your hand. And then I think he said, I forget what he mentioned, but he said, like, the Lord's been dealing with me about a Bible study, and he told me to go get the strings. And that's when I showed up. And it was me. At that time, I believe it was me, Jonathan, and maybe Greg doing his Bible studies, like, sort of like a rotation type of thing. And so like coming into that, I had never been to a Sunday service. I've really only ever been to maybe one or two of his Sunday services. And to that point, I hadn't been, to a major gathering of his. It was just Tuesdays. And so it was like 200 people. And to know that a person that preaches, for 20 something thousand people every Sunday, goes hard, those services are hard, to watch him give that same level of fervency to people, to watch him give that same level of care. Like, he wasn't too grand. He didn't treat it like, oh, this is just 200 people. So no, he preached. He preached every single week. He
goes all the way up.
Yeah, and there were weeks where he stayed. There were so many weeks where he stayed still, and he still does. I don't want to speak about it like his past tense. There's so many weeks where he stays intentionally to pray for to touch everyone, to hug everyone. He's not, he doesn't just preach and get out, unless he's like, unless catch a flight, or he's just been, doing, like, unless they have 4 a.m. prayer or something like that. He is staying, touch people, to pray for people, and you just don't see that very often, I grew up with a pastor that was like that. Pastor Jerry and Pastor Bob, they stay after. They're not late to the experience, and they don't leave early and behave as if they can't be touched. They stay, they touch people, they engage with people, they pray for people. And so when you grow up with that, you look for that. I look for that level of authenticity in leadership, and I've been really blessed to serve under leaders that have that common touch about them.
Yeah, Pastor Jerry is the biggest heart ever.
Yeah.
Biggest heart.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah. So I love the both of them. So tell me a little bit about the worship school.
Woo! Worship school. So I met Aaron Keys, David Walker, Micah Massey, and Cameron Walker. I want to say 6 years ago, and it was a complete accident.
What's the name of the school?
10,000 Worship School.
10,000 Fathers. I love that
name. And I met them about 6 years ago. It was when I was with AOH, and they called us to. They said the way it was phrased was, "We're going to have Aaron Keys here. You guys should come." And we said, me and John were like, "Cool, we'll come. No doubt, And so it got close to the day. We hadn't heard anything, and then all of a sudden, like maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks before the event, a flyer comes out with our pictures, names.
All right, come on now. Promotion. Yes.
And we're like,
you gotta be promoted.
And we just thought, we planned on going, but we didn't plan on singing. So we had to get a team together really quick, get some songs together really quick, because apparently we're on to sing at this thing, in a couple weeks or whatever. So we went, and those guys were there. They were doing a seminary thing up in Chicago. We were coming as just part of their song share type of thing, and God just like connected us so deeply. We shared songs, they fell in love. They shared songs, and we fell in love, and it was just one of those things where it was so immediate that the hand of God, that God was doing something. So we stayed in we stayed in contact. I would go to Atlanta and say what's up when I was down there. They would come to Chicago and say when they were down here. And eventually they just said, we think you guys would benefit from going through our school. And we did. Me and John both did and graduated. And it's a year and a half of some of the most intense ditch digging, well digging that you could ever do into your soul, into your ministry, into your competency, into your character, into your community. And I am richer and better for having done it. I don't think I could lead like the demands of leadership that I face now. I don't think I would have those tools, even though I was groomed well, trained well. When God begins to elevate you, he has to elevate your thinking, your capability, and your character. He has to grow you to another level. And so for this season that I'm in now, I needed 10,000 Fathers. So if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here. I would crumble. And so I'm really thankful for them. I thank them. I owe a lot to 10,000 Fathers for sure.
Man, it was funny because when every time when I moved back to Chicago in 2009, back then the acoustic thing just wasn't hot.
Yeah.
It was not hot. Let's be super clear.
Yeah.
But I went to sing at the Baptist churches with the guitars. They would sit there looking at me like, or they looked like they wanted to have some tea or coffee. And it was just weird.
It was a coffee instrument. Yeah, for sure.
And then here I come in, the guitar just was not hot. So that's why we hit it off right away. And every time people always say, you should work with Dee, or you got to meet Jonathan McReynolds.
Yeah.
And I was like, because we were like kind of the only ones kind of doing that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Come on and tell me who you wrote for now.
Well,
Oh,
God
that for the
saw
people.
fit to have me right. No, me and Jonathan have developed a friendship over the last 4 or 5 years. Because so I've written. I'm sorry. Let me answer your question. I've written on Jonathan Brindle's last two albums, Make Room
Mhm.
and this new one, People. I've had the pleasure and the honor
Nice.
um of working with him on those two records, because Jonathan does not need help writing songs. Let's just make that crystal clear.
Neither does Dee Wilson. Let's be clear about that too. So can we just keep it 100? Right.
So he does not need help, but he invited me into that. He graciously invited me into that process, to his process of making albums, and I've been really blessed by it. I've been really, I felt really honored by it. And we've gotten some good songs, and more importantly, like we have an actual real friendship, and that's really cool. I met Jonathan, huh?
How did that start?
There was a certain point where it was just we were just sort of two guys around, like especially Chicago's tiny, especially when it comes to music, and so you just see the same people at the same events, and unless you have a real opportunity or chance to get to know someone, they're just sort of a guy, they're just sort of people you see. So for a minute, it was just, hey Jonathan, hey, like he knew my wife from an internship they did in Atlanta. So we would have a little bit to talk about, but not much. It'd just be, hey, how you doing? Good. And then one day, a friend of ours named Tracy Stingley, he would do this event around Thanksgiving called The Vow
Mhm.
at, I want to say Greater Harvest. Please, I hope I'm not getting that wrong. I believe it was at Greater Harvest.
Okay. Is that in Harvey? Am I saying that right? Never mind. Never mind. Go ahead. I'm not
John
getting in trouble.
Harvest, Greater Harvest is on the south side, I believe. Don't matter. Let's.
It's in Chicago. Like on every,
All right, all
on
right.
every street.
And
Hello.
so,
Let's give it 100. Oh,
one year he did it one year, and the next year he texted me and Jonathan and said, hey, I want you guys to do something together at the Vow. And so me and Jonathan, both being introverts, just said okay and never spoke about it again.
wait. Did you say you're an introvert?
Yes, I'm an ambivert. Jonathan is an
I was
introvert.
about to say, first of all,
I'm an ambivert. But
okay.
I lean more toward introversy actually than not, surprisingly enough. I know. Okay. That's a different message for a different day. Um,
Go ahead.
so both of us leaning into our introversy, said yes, and then we never spoke about it again. Weeks went by. So same thing with 10,000 Fathers. Weeks go by, and all of a sudden we're at this vow thing, and we realize we hadn't prepared anything. So we get the sound check, and we sort of noodle around for 15 minutes, and like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And we settle on doing How He Loves Us. And then so we do about half of How He Loves Us, and then we just start freestyling. We start trading back and forth bars and lines on stage. It lasts for about 10 minutes of us just sort of vibing live in the moment on stage as it happens. And people are just going nuts.
Right.
People are going absolutely nuts. And so that goes well. And so the night goes well or whatever. And at the end of that, we both sort of look at each other, and he says, like, we got to do something. Like, that was our first realization that we could be friends. You know what I mean? Because it was just like, say it
Mm-hmm.
again.
This pair is good.
Yeah, that this thing could work.
Mhm.
And so then our relationship sort of actually sprouted. Like it would still probably be another 2 or so years before we actually wrote together. But that's really where like we started to become like friendly and friends. And then really through the writing process with Make Room, that's when we became real friends. And now we again sort of with every time we sort of write, like the friendship sort of grows along with it, because we write long. We're not
Yeah. Got to take your time.
yeah, we really take our time. That was what we laughed about when we were writing on the first project. Was it was 3 in the morning, and we
Right.
finished like 2 songs, and we had probably started at like 6 the night before, and we just look at each other and go, "Who does this? Like, who cares? Nobody cares this much about lyrics, but we do."
I have a question for you. It's a little deep, and
Okay.
it's something that happens in our community, our creative community. Did you find that the industry or the Chicago crowd or musicianship pit y'all against one another?
Um, no, I'd say that, but
Or
Well,
compare? Was there a comparison that you had to?
I mean, I don't know about from Jonathan's end. On my end, just because Jonathan was the dude, um, folks would compare me to him, or like, and I told him this. So I'm not talking out of school or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
there'll be times when like he would leave town and folks like, hey, we're doing this event and Jonathan can't do it. Can you? You know,
Hmm.
that happened like that would happen, over the course of it happened, over the course of just his ascent, into where he is, where he's worked himself into being, and initially, it's tough to not sort of feel some kind of way about it,
Hmm.
but it was never toward each other or toward him. It was really like, man, I wish we didn't have to jostle in the
Yeah.
same place, like, and I wish people didn't say silly things like, um, like whatever, all the silly things that
Yeah.
people say. And so you sort of do have to mind your own soul and spirit for the ways in which people can try to sow seeds of bitterness
Yep.
that can ruin your future. At that point, I had no idea, where our relationship would go. I sort of had to defend my own heart against that sort of
That's
bitterness,
so good.
against comparison, against feeling a certain way because I wasn't getting the same sort of attention and things he was, and honestly, against my own heart for not wanting to work as hard as he did, because he works, like, the man works
We
hard.
talked about work, didn't we, D?
Yeah, we did, and the man works hard. He works super hard. He's worked himself into the position where he is, and so yeah, and I'm very very grateful that God saw fit to join us when He did, because beautiful things have come alongside.
It's timing.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just timing, and we have to trust God's timing. And sometimes, like you said, He's busy, but not to make the focus on that per se. It's more so you being ready,
Yeah,
you know. And
yeah,
I think sometimes, if we're just being honest, we're not, and God can see when we can't. So I remember seeing we were all at Deborah's the Chosen Daughters of Destiny conference, and I think it was my daughter, Jonathan, and you, and nobody knew who any of you were. Like, Jonathan wasn't even popular yet,
right.
but you could still see the same greatness, and all y'all had guitars.
Yep, yep. All of us did.
The
Yep.
same greatness. And so, just over the years, I've just seen you grow and blossom, and then you took the route to get married
Yeah.
and start a family.
Yeah.
I think you were getting married when we were moving back, but I was really it was in 2012 or 13, somewhere in there. Yep.
13. Yep.
Yep. And we were talking about the work ethic because I took you to the Layla concert,
Mm-hmm.
and we have pictures from that night.
Oh, my good Lord.
We got pictures, and they're coming up.
Man,
Ah,
it's,
ah,
uh,
ah.
uh,
And there's one with
uh,
Lois up there.
Lois. That was at the LH recording, right?
No, 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 no. Wait.
Was
Oh,
that? No, no, that was at
that was at Bill Winston's
yeah,
church, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. She was, yeah, yeah. She was,
And New Breed was on.
yeah.
Yeah. So we had saw her then, but you guys had come to the house, and we had talked about that on. She was on episode 1, so she was talking about you all. So this is Dee, y'all, that she was talking about on episode 1 that they wrote the song together. We actually found some footage of that too, but we're not gonna play that. We got that too because I didn't get Lois's permission to play Home,
Yeah.
but it was
That
like
was
one of my
beautiful.
favorite songs. Which you need to go back and do that song with her.
I would love to. Oh my gosh, I miss Lois a lot because I haven't really spoken to her except maybe through like Instagram and once in a while. I loved meeting her. She's one of the most gracious human beings you can
Right.
ever
Yep.
ever meet.
Very hard.
Amazing.
Yep. It's just funny how small our community is. Even though we're all like Lois is in South Africa now.
Yeah.
So, how we just connect. The stories connect and they line up. So,
Yeah.
what I have to say is that I am super proud of you. And what I the next day, we from a Layla's concert, we got home at what time? It was late. You know, Mama don't really do the nighttime. On special occasions, she will. She's still that way today. Like she don't do the nighttime.
It was very late, and then the next morning I had breakfast with Jen. So
Right.
whatever time it was, we got home probably 2 a.m. I had breakfast, I think, at like 9 a.m. with
Right.
Jennifer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I come calling because we were supposed to record
Yep.
her and people, and you was like, "TT, I'm tired," and I was, "What did I tell you? What I tell you?"
You said Layla. What you said? Oh, you said remember last night when we hung out with Layla Hathaway? I said yeah, and I thought you were going to say something like, "I did that for you, do that for me." I was preparing for that, but what you actually said was
She's
you said Layla, and then partied till about 2 a.m. She had to be right back on the flight and up for a radio show at 6, and she had to sing at 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning. And I was like, I'm eating donuts right now.
And you actually showed up. Y'all came through.
I did.
And it's so funny how fitting it is for now. But we are going to play that video.
Okay.
Hurting people hurt people.
Wow.
Right? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it's very befitting for today.
Yeah.
But we're going to get back into some more of what's going on today. We'll segue into that because I really want you all to hear what he's been up to. But we just want to give you a little bit of history of how we did to be. And Auntie Deborah was right. Like, y'all need to be.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to play a little bit of Hurting People Hurt People. Oh, we don't have the video. Oh, yeah, first of the day. So y'all can watch the video on on Instagram. It's up there. Hurting People Hurt People.
I think so.
But let's go into what's happening today in this day and time. And I was scrolling and I ran across a song that you wrote about the first set of people that were victims, and then there's a whole new set. So I would really love to share with the people this video. It just really touched my heart, and it was just done so beautifully. I think what I really liked most about it was the unity of all races coming together to support and just have a heart for what's happening, which I think we're starting to see a lot of today, which I could really appreciate. And I don't really know if that was happening back in the 60s when my parents, not yours, when my parents were going through it. I remember them talking a little bit about the issues and the marches and how they had overcome and marched for their rights. But anyway, y'all watch the song.
Spilled on the street, he was the rose that grew out of the concrete, the same ground where his body lay, like rose petals on a stony grave. Why do we fear each other from the lies of yesterday? I'll never know. But look at all these roses with petals on the ground. They call this one Mike Brown. I'm asking you to look at all these roses with petals on the ground. They call this one Trayvon Martin. I'm asking you to look at all these roses with petals on the ground. They call this one Tyson Lee. I'm asking you to look at all these roses with petals on the ground. it's far too many for me. The tears of my mother were spilled at his grave. She knows the cost the whole world could not repay. And when she should have felt our sympathy, all we told her is that her baby was guilty. And do we even have compassion? Do we even wanna see? I'll never know. But look at all these roses with petals on the ground. They called this one Freddie Gray. I'm asking you, look at all these roses with petals on the ground. They called this one Eric Gardner. I'm asking you to look at all these roses with petals on the ground. They called this one Sandra Bland. I'm asking you to look at all these roses with petals on the ground. Every woman, every man. Oh, sometimes I wonder if you were more than a number. Would we ever see how beautiful and special and precious you were? Somebody told me that if only you would better decide, you would still be alive.
That was beautiful. Can you play a little bit of that for us, Dee?
Yeah. But I'm asking you to look at all these roses with petals on the ground, like the ones from Sandy Hook. I'm asking you to look at all these roses with petals on the ground. Say we'll change the story in our history books, and while we can, let's look at all these roses. Look at all these roses. Look at all these roses with petals on the ground. I'm asking you to look at all these roses. Look at all these roses. Look at all these roses with petals on the ground. I'm asking you to look at all these roses and say a prayer for all these roses. Shout out for all the roses with petals on the ground. I'm asking you to look at all these roses. Look at all these roses. Look at all these roses. Petals on the ground.
So beautiful. Wow. So tell us a little bit how it feels as a young Black man about what's happening today.
Whew. Tiring, exhausting, sad, worrisome, um, all too familiar. Yeah, it's like disappointing. It sort of feels in a way as if like I know what happened to my parents and grandparents, and I know what happened to generations of Black folks before them, and it's like, why is it still happening to us? And growing up, and there was a while with like, especially growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, where it's like you hear about it as a thing of the past, and you don't really experience it as a child as you get older. You hear about there's a little blurbs in our history books about what the civil rights movement was and what slavery was, and to make it seem like it's such a distant memory. But without owning up to it and owning our baggage, it can't be. And so, like, the disappointment is, it's like we've not advanced. We've not advanced. We've not grown, and we still very much need revolution, and change. And so I have a daughter, I have friends, I have nieces and nephews now that have to grow up. And I want them to grow up and live in a world where they don't have to worry about the systems in a country that they want to thrive in working actively against them. And I want to fight, but I also just want to, sometimes I just want to, I want to fear, because I worry about, not just myself and my brothers and sisters of my age. I worry about my baby, my nieces, my nephews, and what they're going to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that there is, I felt that we were living the dream of Martin Luther King. I didn't really know the extent of what my parents went through or my grandparents went through, because we really thought we had come, and you got to lift every voice and sing till then heaven ring. You got all that, right? And I'm really, in school, that you take pride in that. I went to all black schools in Chicago, but you really think that you have overcome. So I do see that there is a portion of Dr. Martin Luther King's dream and his purpose being fulfilled, that there are interracial marriages. I do go to church with all races. We all worship together. We work together. We don't have to go do separate, bathrooms, and segregation and things like that. They fought for our freedom to be educated. So I will celebrate that he worked hard for that. These aren't days of blatant slavery. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking lightly what's happening today.
Absolutely. But yeah, I hear you.
We do have social media that is completely showing everything, the things that we aren't seeing. I think I said earlier, Smith had a post that said something about, now it's just being filmed.
Right.
So I think of the Marvin Gayes and Stevie Wonder. They wrote about, things. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? They wrote about it. They were in those times. And
yeah, right.
I think that this song moved me the way that one did. This is how we're speaking in this generation of today, of what's happening. We have the power of prayer. We have hope. And if what Martin Luther King and the rest of the civil rights activists, Rosa Parks and those people, did not do fulfill their purpose, we wouldn't be sitting here talking today.
It's true.
You know what I mean? It was worse. So my thing is, let's hold on to our faith. Let's hold on to our hope. Let's put our trust in God. He knows our beginning and our end. This is where we are tested most on what we say we believe as Christians.
Yeah.
What we say we believe is our firm foundation. He's always kept us, and we're, the word does say is to take heart. We will have trouble,
Yeah.
And I think one of the things for me growing up is that I always thought that just from the church, the church that I grew up in, that I felt that if you did something bad, I mean, if something bad was happening to you, if there was a trial happening, then you were doing something wrong.
Right.
Not realizing that people are people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You learn that later on, that God is grace. And just even within me transitioning of what's happening now, and in my quiet time, today, honestly, I broke down and cried today just driving, because I was driving and I saw I forgot to turn on my turning signal. And when I was turning, I saw a cop. And I was just like, ooh, for a second. And then I had to do the work. Okay, God is not giving me a spirit of fear, but if I love this, I might have to do my work. And I ended up calling a friend and just finally breaking down. I just have been in a space, and I've had one of the sweetest things that's ever happened is that I've had people of other nationalities and races calling and sending texts to say we love you, making posts. Those are things that the media couldn't cover back then. Maybe it was happening then, but just as a young man, you know, and being a mom of four boys. My 14-year-old asked me, "Hey, I'm going to play ball. I'm going to walk over to the, and, you know, we live in a predominantly neighborhood. I'm going over to play ball." And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, those are things. These are real issues. But if we're gonna pray and we're gonna believe, then we got to believe. We use wisdom,
Yeah.
but you know, I'm covering you, Dee. I really am. You know, just as a black man, and you have a call on your life. You know, and you have to play those the words, purpose and a plan for you of hope and a future. So I'm very proud for standing in your call and your gift, your gifting, and it's you're just getting started. From that I really like to hear that second song.
The medicine.
Yeah, because that was the first one I heard, and I was like, ooh. And I think I was in the middle of doing something. I had to stop and put that on pause. I got to come back to that. But I'm like,
Mm.
better yet, I'm gonna have him come on and sing it for the people because your lyrics are just, you know, you hear from God. It's a gift. It's a gift, and y'all got to hear these words. Come on, Dean. Give us a little bit of the medicine.
Just here. There we go. Ooh, ooh. There's a sickness here that threatens to divide us. We're all afraid to say its name out loud. Lord, I know that you can heal us of this virus. So we need you. We need you right now. And there's a darkness here that's dangerous and aggressive. Getting harder every day to shake its power. Lord, I know that you can free us from oppression. So we need you. We need you right now. 'Cause we don't know what to do. So we'll turn our eyes to you. We've run out of words to say. But if you come and have your way, you can save us from ourselves. Before our wounds hurt someone else, we need you now. What does it mean to have compassion for another? How can I claim the love of God that I can't see? If I can find the will to harm and kill my brother, 'cause he neglected to look like me. And I can speak the words of men and songs of angels. I can give all my possessions to the poor. But if your love can't move the mountains of my hatred, somehow I missed you and I need you so much more. 'Cause I don't know what to do. So I'll turn my eyes to you. And I've run out of words to say. But if you come and have your way, would you save me from myself? Before I wounds hurt someone else, I need you now. Oh, 'cause I don't know what to do. So we'll turn our eyes to you. I've run out of words to say. But if you come and have your way, would you save us from ourselves? Before our wounds hurt someone else, we need you now. We need you now. We need you now. We need We need you now. We need you now. We need you now. Oh, we need your healing. We need your healing, Lord. We need your healing. We need you now. If you don't ever, if you don't deliver us, if you don't change, we need, we need.
So beautiful, man. Wow. And we do. We really do. I it's just, I see a lot of people in need and are empty and soul thirsty right now. I Scripture that comes to mind for me this time is Psalm 91. To pray that over people. I just want to just read that really quickly, just to the people to be able to have something to lean on. Whosoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God and my trust. Surely He will save you from the foul snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of day, nor the arrow that flies by night, nor pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your right side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and punish it. If you say, "The Lord is my refuge," and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near you. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name, and he will call on me, and I will answer him, and I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Yeah, right? So we're still here.
Yep.
We're still here in our purpose and serving it today.
Yep.
I want to take some questions. I see Bernicia. Hey, Bernicia. Right? This song touches my heart. I feel this, she said. Girl, I had to have it. Yeah, Carol Williams, Zachary, and Marita. Hey, Marita.
Marita.
Yes. Y'all have any questions for Dee? See if anybody. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do. Where can we find you, Dee?
On most of the social medias. There's so many now. Like why do we need more? Why do we need more? But mainly Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
I try to engage with Twitter, but sometimes Twitter can be like the wild, wild west, man.
For Twitter, you need short sentences.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows that I do not.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of shorts.
That's the mulberry bush. I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
So tell us. Okay, so you have. So tell us, you have your new music.
Yep.
You have a project called the Black and White Hymnal. Yes.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that project.
So Black Hymnal was, in a weird way, it was both rush and divinely timed.
Mhm.
Headed on to do a 5 day, 5 dates on a tour, and I didn't have anything. And the last project I wanted to do, I sort of hemmed and hawed and didn't finish it. But I wanted to do something, like I didn't want to just go back and finish that one. I wanted to do something that sort of represented where I was, and sort of connected back to who I had been. And so I had songs that were ready. I had songs that were already sort of working. I took them to a friend of mine named David Walker,
Mhm.
through 10,000 Fathers, gang gang, and
Gang,
uh,
gang.
and
Wait. Didn't Michael Massey? He
Mike.
wrote Mancy. He wrote Jesus at the Center of It All for Israel, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So he was one of my songwriting teachers in 10,000 Fathers too. One of my coaches. He did teach. He taught more than writing, but he also. I mean, you have Micah Massey teaching you about writing songs. Like so. That's a sort of that is the sort of like caliber of instruction that you're receiving, and at the same time, sorry, yeah. So I took those songs to David Walker, and we just got together for about 4 or 5 days. Recorded 8 tracks. We laid keys down. I wanted it to be really simple, really impactful, and that's what it was. It was really just guitars, pianos, some light, 808 work, and some spaces or whatever. But we wanted to make something really unique, and it is. And I love the format. I love the short album format. Like,
Mm. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't ever really, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure I'll ever really stray away from that. It's just so concise. You get your best songs, you pour your time into them, and you put them out. And it's something that folks can sort of enjoy quickly, or loop back, as many times as they want, because you don't really get tired of them. And so, yeah. So Black and White Hymnal is probably the best thing I've done up until the next thing that I'm going to do.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, I have work coming. 19 sort of set everything back in a sense,
Uh-huh.
or made us really reevaluate what we do. So, but the next project that I have, I know it's going to be called Spirit and Truth, or some format of that, some conjugation of that, and it's going to be actually two small projects, two 5-song projects broken. It's going to be one sort of live-ish, short 5-song deal, and then one sort of studio, more produced deal. I want to say the 5-song one will be done sometime in the fall.
Okay. But we're going to
Other-
hold you to it.
Yeah, please hold me to it. My team holds me to it now too. Like, and
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing about this season of my life, is that there are people around me that aren't just holding me to it, but are actually actively helping me to get things done, and to make sure they're done right. Shout out to my Common Hymnal family. That just, we all sort of circle around each other, and help each other fix things and get things done well. So they're around me, and yeah. So these next 2 projects, one project in 2 parts, it's going to be the best thing that I've ever done.
Well, I know you see me over here side-eyeing, because the wife is in the building.
Hey, that's the ultimate gang.
Hey, gay. Yeah, that's so beautiful. And the child Adele, first of all, Adele,
This is a new person.
she's already a worship queen, honey. She's already ready for the people. to do it. So, but I love you, Jen. There they are. Hey,
Hey.
hi, Adele. Adele's interview is next week. She already called me for the show.
She is ready.
Yep. And she already done filled in for worship for y'all. Y'all don't even got to worry about it. She got it.
She is completely, utterly ready for all of it. She's here.
Let's see. Maritha, she says, I'm super inspired by your journey, and your artistry is so genuine. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I love Maritha. She's
Right.
one of the kindest people. She's so nice and real and hilarious.
For
Thank
real.
you.
And super hilarious and super soprano. Like,
Yeah,
oh, man.
ultimate.
Right. We got to get her on here too. Let's see. Vernicia, once she says, I don't have a question for Dee, but I want to tell him to continue to allow God to use him. Your voice is truly anointed by God for a purpose far greater than you can even imagine. May God continue to bless you and your family. To hear you sing is amazing and soul touching in ways that cannot be truly explained with mere words. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank
You better prophesy, Vernicia. Give us all of that. Amen.
Thank
That
you.
was beautiful.
Fine. Thank you.
That is so beautiful. Wow. So, with that being said, I want you all to follow Dee on all social media platforms. His music is available on all social media platforms.
Yep. Yep.
And y'all can also catch him on Spirit Fridays. Come on, tell us about the Spirit Fridays. We're not gonna forget that.
Spirit Fridays is a series that I'm doing. I think I'm at episode 5, so I have like 7 more to do. The backlog is on my Facebook. I have to figure out a way to get the backlog on my Instagram so people can watch those. But it's simply me taking 15, 20 minutes Friday morning around 10 o'clock when we're all home anyway.
Yep.
Most of us are home anyway. And just adding just a little worship. End of the week for everyone can be so stressful, even in days when we have to work from home. And by the time you get to Friday, Sunday's 2 days away, you need a little bit of something else. Because Wednesday prior to that, and it ain't lasted very long. So for me, it's just a little B12 shot of worship for everybody. Some scriptures, some songs, maybe some prophetic songs, some quiet spaces, and just for folks to have some breathing space before they get back to their weekend. And so I decided to do 12. I am going to do 12. If I do more, maybe. Certainly going to do 12. So we're on 5 now. Facebook has the backlog. I have to figure out a way to get the backlog to Instagram, maybe through my IGTV. So we'll do that.
Okay. So I just, of course, y'all know I'm going to tell y'all his Cash App because y'all know Mama don't play.
Here. Cash
App. I'm going to put your Cash App up. If you all just want to just be a blessing to Dee, that would be great. Cash App is Dee Wilson. Is it 1389?
It's D Cash 3189.
D Cash.
Yeah.
189. D Cash 3189. Amazing if y'all could, show him a little love. Awesome. And let's see, Dee, tell me how you are minding your purpose as we begin to wrap up.
How am I minding my purpose? I decided at the beginning of quarantine that I was not going to leave quarantine without a new skill.
Good.
And since I have been planning on going to the studio a lot and singing a lot, I decided, you know what? I'm going to buy a better interface. I'm going to buy a better microphone. I'm going to buy an isolation booth, and I'm going to figure out how to get studio quality vocals from my Nook.
All right.
So that's what I've done. And so I've been literally, my little work is, it's just a little workspace that I have with an upright piano that's not even out. It's my Nord on top of it. And this microphone that I've been using, I've been working diligently to figure out how to get good vocals. I just did some new vocals for a recording of the medicine that'll be finished hopefully this week sometime. Mm-hmm. And they are the best I've done. So hopefully, like the next time I do it, I can be better and better and better at that until I can know solidly I get it. So I've been just developing myself. I'm reading more. I'm trying to be a better dad. I've been trying to love on my daughter. You forget when your child is at school 8 hours a day, right, how much time you miss with them.
How much time the school has them.
Yeah, how much time the school has them to grow, they learn, they adjust, they adapt. And so the beginning of it was like, oh my gosh, you can't be in school. What am I going to do? Then I found some joy in that, man, I get to spend time with her. If we ever get back to normal, I won't have that time anymore. So it's precious. It's really precious. And we've had some good days. We've had some good days at home.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dee, it has been a pleasure to have you. I think I just have one more question, and I know it's going a little backtracking, but I need to know who your influences were, because everyone has one.
Yeah. There's so many. Obviously, the music side is the big one. Stevie Wonder. My mother is actually a huge musical influence for me. My parents were because we were homeschooled, and they sort of brought so much music into our lives that I probably wouldn't have gotten unless they had brought it. And so my parents for sure, like, they brought show tunes and oldies and gospel tunes and CCM. Like, they sort of brought everything into our world. Then once I discovered talking Israel and Stevie Wonder, Bill Withers, Randy Newman, like folks that I felt wrote honestly in ways that folks could grab a hold of. Those are the heroes that I look up to musically for sure.
I
Um,
hear those. I hear
yeah,
those voices. But I hear you. And what's great about you is that I can hear your voice anywhere and I go, that's G.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep. So you are one of God's favorites. Join the club. Y'all, thank y'all for tuning in with us. And don't forget, check my boy out on all social media platforms. Follow him on all social media platforms. You can get his music on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, everywhere. Y'all check him out. All right. Remember, mind your own purpose.